You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm so glad that you are here with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca. So radio and online streaming. You can click on the Radio Player Canada app to stream us. Take us with you anytime, anywhere. If you download the Radio Player Canada app, you can listen to us on your favorite device. Also, other great programming from CKLU. Just go to CKLU.ca, not only to support by purchasing some great merch, but also by just donating if you're able to. The station runs on support by the community, people like yourself. If you want to support this show, you can do so by e-transferring to sudburynews@gmail.com. So appreciate that as well. It just helps to cover some of the expenses. And we're also live streaming on facebook.com/SudburyNews, youtube.com/SudburyNews. And it's going to be a great show. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, and comment. This is your show on your station where we have your conversation. You can share your views on the news, things that matter to you and your point of view, right? And there's so little of that in our society today. That's the reason for the show. So we have local news, weather, sports, and we kick off with the weather, which is usually backwards from other platforms or other shows. Get the weather out of the way. Then a little bit of sports. Today there's not much to talk about. The Wolves will be in action tomorrow night in Niagara. The game is you can catch that game right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. And then they're off to face the Brantford Bulldogs after that. You can also catch the game right here on this station. Then they're back in town against the Mississauga Ice Dogs this Saturday. So make sure to this Sunday, make sure to get your tickets for Sunday's game. The Mississauga Ice Dogs are in town. Get out and support your Sudbury Wolves. So that's that for the Sudbury Sports segment. So we're just going to dive into some weather, come back with some local news headlines, dive in with maybe a special segment today on the state of our media, which we talk about. This is an alternative view, if you will, one where we actually try to understand what's going on and not try to manipulate or try to tell people what to believe. It's an alternative point of view where you can actually think for yourself, try and unpack things. And again, we'll talk about people that basically know they shine a light on our current media situation in this country and in the world. And some of them are getting their butts kicked by the powers that be if they have, a larger audience in the alternative media sphere. We'll listen to a little bit of Russell Brand, who's got some bad media from the mainstream media as of late. You might have heard Russell Brand, your favorite comedian at one point, and now his name is tarnished through the mainstream media. So he'll speak on that, an interview with Tucker Carlson, and a little bit more as we deep dive afterwards, after our local media headlines. Local. It doesn't seem to be as tainted as some of the national and international news that's out there. It's still, but it still can be susceptible to not just sharing the truth, sharing facts, sharing you ask questions and you report the answers from the questions you asked. That's pretty much as simple as it gets. You go and you ask someone some questions and you say, what did you see? What did you hear? How did that happen? When did it happen? And then you just write it up and you give it to the people It's that simple. You don't have to go, well, I don't think I'm going to put that. Well, I don't think people really need to know this. Well, my friend over there might be a little bit ashamed, so I'm just going to just delete that out of the story. No, none of that. It's just real journalism. It's a breath of fresh air. As long as it can still happen, we'd like to embrace the idea anyways on the show. Without further ado, let's dive into some weather, local headlines coming up, and then a little bit of a deep dive later. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Stay tuned. And our local weather forecast brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently, it's 0 degrees, but it feels like -5. There is freezing fog, which I love that name, freezing fog. And today, it's cloudy, going to be cloudy, 40% chance of flurries early this morning with a risk of freezing drizzle. Fog patch is dissipating this morning, wind becoming southwest 20 kilometers an hour, gusting to 40 this morning, high of +1, while my main computer that I use is rebooting all of a sudden. Always got things going on like that on the fly. But I just thought I'd let you know for whatever reason. The high today will be +1, wind chill -7 in the morning. Don't know what it will be with the wind chill in the afternoon. They kind of leave that out of that segment for some reason. Tonight, cloudy, 30% chance of showers or drizzle overnight. Winds will be gusting up to 40 kilometers overnight. The temperature will stay steady near +1. Thursday, cloudy, 30% chance of flurries in the morning with a risk of freezing drizzle. The wind north 30 kilometers per hour. Temperature falling to -4 in the afternoon. Wind chill -11 in the afternoon. So we know what the wind chill in the afternoon will be for tomorrow. They just don't say what it will be for today. I look at your extended forecast and I was right already. There's already 1 day of total sun taken out of the forecast. Yesterday, if you were watching the show or listening, you heard me ranting about the idea that there's, well, even in previous shows, that there's never even a full day of total sun anymore. You get some sun for half a day and then all of a sudden the trails start rolling in and then the clouds start forming and then there's cloudy. So you don't even get a full day of total sun. So yesterday in the forecast, it had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday as totally sunny. And I said, I'll believe that when I see it. So already today, Monday is partly cloudy. So they've taken away that forecast. And then we'll see if by the end of the week, we still get the forecast of total sunny days. Because I believe it's impossible. I do, because I haven't seen a total sunny day and I don't know how long. So, so far they're saying tomorrow it's going to be 0, 30% chance of flurries. Friday, totally sunny with -5, your high, -1 and totally sunny on Saturday, and -1 and totally sunny on Sunday, but a mix of sun and cloud on Monday, and high of -2. -2 on February the 6th, Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud. So I do believe it'll be mild. There's no doubt about it. But the idea of total sun for 4 days in a row yesterday and now 3 days in a row forecast today. Tomorrow it'll be 2 days and then it won't be totally sunny for even one full day. I'll dare the weather to do it. So here you go. There's your satellite. It's back working. There's lots of clouds, as it usually is, over all of northern Ontario, and that is your forecast. Weather forecast brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and much more right after this. Okay, we're back. And I got a little ahead of myself there. So we are back now. Just getting this other computer booted up. So I have to start programs, get CKLU back up and running, all kinds of things on the fly while we're going through the show. So it is what it is. It's a one-man operation here, but luckily you guys are on to help me this morning. So with that, Marianne joining us from Barrie. Good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as usual, which we do appreciate. Monique, good morning. Smiley emoji, always appreciated. And thanks for chatting with me yesterday, Monique, much appreciated. We'll have to figure out some technology on my end to have you come on the show and share some really cool information about our top story today. But anyways, we'll have to get that as soon as possible. Good morning, Vin. Much appreciated. And Judy, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us, as well as Denise from Espanola. Blessings from Espanola. Vin, you're on a tight ship. Thanks for the show. Oh, thank you. I hope so. We try and work our best as we can on the fly as I restore my pages. Here we go. Belinda, usually a positive comment of the day. Good morning. Don't waste words on people who deserve your silence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. That's true. You know, if you don't have anything good to say sometimes, right? As a lot of people say, if you don't have anything good to say, then don't say anything at all. That's similar. But also, if someone's not even going to pay attention to what you're saying anyways, why even say it? So, but at the same time, I guess you have to come to that conclusion if that's the right tactic in your relationship with said person. But these are the things we have to figure out in our life, right? When is it appropriate to say something? When's it appropriate to hold back and not say anything at all? And that's the most effective tactic for that particular person at that particular time. So, yeah, but thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. And Liette, good morning from Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. Thanks for joining us. Denise says, Russell's a Jew. He works for the Zionists. I didn't know that. I got no love for that guy at all. Just another distraction. They all sound good, those master manipulators, don't they? Well, again, so this is the thing. I don't know about his relationships to Zionist Jews at all. I don't. That's something I have to delve into. However, it seems pretty interesting. The people that he's, calling out. Have you ever watched his show? I have. The things he said were pretty on target. He's been deplatformed just recently for accusations that were made against him. I think it's important to hear people speak, and if you know something deeper than that, and I appreciate that if you're looking into things, and I'm sure a lot of us have deep connections in different ways to different beliefs or ideologies or movements, right? And so the best thing is for us to do is to hear what they have to say, listen for ourselves, make those decisions. But I think what he has to say, especially today, from what I've seen, is very important for the times we're living in regardless. Yeah. Anyways, so we'll have a listen to him, or watch if you're watching his interview today, and see what you think. Marianne says, yep, moment you talk against their narrative, you're canceled. Again, right? So whether this is just a spectacle and it's all just theater, which a lot of our world is, we don't know what's real and what's theater. I remember sharing on my Facebook a couple of years ago, fake is the new real. And I didn't realize it was a song or it was a show or something too. I thought I made it up. Like the Masons, good guy, bad guy. They have to tell you. True, and there's a lot of things there as well that are misunderstood or understood, depending what you know or what you don't know. With things like that, it's important to know for yourself. This is the key. Know for yourself. don't back away from any topic or conversation. Get in there and understand. And by understanding, you can listen to the other side. And if you are strong enough in your beliefs and your core, you won't be manipulated by another side, right? But you really definitely have to get all the information. I think it's healthy to be able to do that. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Good morning, Maurice. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. Denise, salmon and some other foods have vitamin D. Seek these foods and keep you in a lighter mood. Oh, interesting. Definitely. I've been taking a really good multivitamin these last few weeks, and I definitely feel the difference. And again, I had to do my research on getting a multivitamin that has real vitamins in it and not just it says it has vitamins and it's just, lacking the quality of vitamins. So I had to get a good multivitamin, and I do feel positive effects from that. And other vitamins and good food, good to take care of your health. Marianne, some days here we're lucky to get 5 minutes of sun. Yes, going back to our weather report this morning, and it says it's going to be sunny for 3 days starting Friday, and I'll believe it when I see it. It said 4 days yesterday. We'll see if it says 2 days tomorrow. Denise, on sunny days, keep your eyes to the sky. The minute you start seeing lines, your day is no longer sunny. Exactly. I think I alluded to that in the weather report. Marianne, I never believed in climate change. This is all modified weather. Now, I think there's two different things going on there, right? Climate is always changing. It always has. We've had ice ages throughout the years. The Earth is billions and billions of years old, and the temperature has fluctuated so often on this planet, and there are cycles. There's natural cycles of climate. Now, the question was and is, how much are we contributing to any of the change that's natural? Because the climate is in cycles, always has been for billions of years, even before we got on this planet. So climate is real, like climate is constantly changing. However, we also know that weather modification and geoengineering is something man is doing for sure. Trying to manipulate the weather to, in their eyes and what they've said is because they're trying to cool the planet. Now, not that many people are aware that that's mainstream now, that they just come out and say that, but it is. So they're trying to cool the planet. Now, are they going to make more harm than good by doing it? What's in the particles that they're dispersing in the air? What's in there we're breathing in? Is that helping us or hindering us, right? These are the questions we ask. I miss those deep blue skies over the years. Slowly, it's hard to know what anything is normal weather anymore. I'm with you. It's very tampered with. Cloud seeding is real and much more for sure. Make a snowball with the snow and try to burn it. It doesn't burn. Okay. I tried that the 1 year. I tried burning it. It was weird. It burnt like plastic, the snow. It didn't just melt, which I thought was interesting. I saw a YouTube video and I thought I'd try it. Good day, everyone. Monique, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Marianne, it doesn't melt. Exactly. It just kind of, it melts like plastic. It doesn't melt like water, like ice. So it's interesting. Try it. Get a snowball, put a lighter to it, and it kind of like melts like plastic these days instead of just melting like snow would normally melt into water. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's Chris. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. And as we move on here, I'm going to have to get on with the show, if that's okay, because we definitely, okay, someone else saying Russell Brand is controlled opposition, and that is a thing. It is a tactic by people in power to help with information. But again, what are you going to do when certain people are calling out different things? We have to use our discernment, as Monique says. That's exactly right. And for some people that might not have even heard these concepts, even someone who's controlled opposition, saying it that may be the first time they've even heard it, a concept. And they say it very eloquently, and they do point it out, and they are saying truths. So maybe that'll be an assignment today. What that we're going to hear from Russell Brand is indeed twisted or not true, right? And you can message me today after the interview we listened to and tell me which particular things he said could possibly lead somebody in a wrong direction, or what would be a negative thing of sharing what he's saying, to people, kind of thing. I'm thinking he's only sharing things that we need to know about at this point in this interview anyways. So that's why we would want to share it. Much appreciated, everybody. Keep the comments coming in. And good morning, Nancy. Haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for being back. I hope you're having a great morning. Liette. Yeah, live in a time of political turmoil and ideologies, and it's a very confusing time for sure. And we definitely need to keep our head on straight and always be open-minded, but don't be so open-minded our brain falls out. You ever hear that saying? So you need to have some kind of foundation and make sure that it's built on a rock of a foundation, if you will, to you can discern truth from error. And again, not easy, but you have to engage it. If you just let it tell you what's true and what's not, it isn't going to be good for you at all. Good morning, Victoria. Thanks for being on. Good morning, everyone. Got a good little bunch here, and let's dive right into some local headlines, as we know already. So the Sudbury Star, they have their newsletter of the day that they've sent to me again this morning, which is great. It's not every day. I don't know why, but they were able to send it. And the police expanding search for our missing counselor, Michael Vagnini, Ward 2 counselor. He's still missing. Very disheartening. Police are widening their search for Michael Vagnini and have established a dedicated tip line for the missing city councilor after 3 days of combining local roads, parking lots, and establishments. So the Greater Sudbury Police say, although officers continue to dedicate resources to the area where Michael and the vehicle were last seen and where he is known to frequent, due to the time lapse and being mobile in a vehicle, there is a possibility that Michael traveled well outside just this area. They say the McCharles Lake Road area, but just he could have drove to Tennessee by now. Now, are they checking to see if he crossed a border? These are the things I would do. So he's in a vehicle. So what about his debit records or whatever, things like that? But again, what are we going to do? Go get his bank information? What about his partner? Does she have access to his bank information? See if he's made a purchase somewhere. He'd have to get gas if he's still on the road, right? Anyways, these are just simple questions a simple person can ask, and I hope they're asking them. The police service said it is liaising with the OPP for use of their helicopter, although weather conditions made it unsafe to fly on Tuesday. However, that is regularly reevaluated throughout each day. Now, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess they'd be looking for vehicles on side roads that match the description. I don't think they'd be able to find them on a highway from the helicopter, because there's probably 1 billion trucks that match his description if you're looking from the air. Other law enforcement agencies, both municipal and provincial, have been notified of the incident, said Greater Sudbury Police Service, and know to look out for Vagnini and his black Dodge Ram with a broken right side taillight, passenger side back taillight. It's broken. You can just go online and get his license plate number. It's not hard. So if you know anything. Now, as Nancy's suggesting that maybe someone else is involved here and it's not just him. So I know that would cross my mind as well. You can't just think because people are saying that he's had some he's on certain medication and he may need that medication, which he doesn't have on him, and that he might not be in his right mind. You can't just assume that 100% that that's just what's going on and leave out the idea that there could be something going on that include other people with ill intent as well. You should be looking at every possibility at this point and speaking to as many people as you can, and know the circumstances around where he was just before he went missing. So Michael Vagnini, Ward 2 counselor in Sudbury, has been missing now since Saturday night, and they still don't know his whereabouts, and they're trying to find him. So that will be ongoing. We'll have to speak more on that. I know I spoke with one of our listeners and viewers yesterday, and we're trying to figure out a way to get her on the show, and it will be a great conversation. She has a lot to say. If I'm not able to figure that out and hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, someone who's actually spoken to him just before he was last seen and has video of him and pictures and this and that. One thing I'd like to just let the public know that he said he was seen in a yellow hoodie, but he was in fact wearing an Erie hockey team jersey, yellow. It matched the yellow hoodie that he was wearing. That's the last thing he was seen wearing. So he has a hockey jersey on. I didn't see that mentioned in any of the media. It said that he had a yellow hoodie, but that was underneath the hockey jersey he was wearing. Nonetheless, a small detail, but still, there's more details too that aren't out in the mainstream media that through our conversation came very, very apparent. And there's some red flags in that he self-discharged from the hospital moments before encountering the Freedom Rally on Saturday on Paris Street. And he encountered the people there and was very open, had open conversations with everyone. It didn't seem like he had any particular, he was very articulate. They didn't notice anything strange about the way he was talking. They didn't notice his appearance. He looked a bit disheveled, and being in the hospital before would probably do that to somebody. He explained why he didn't have his phone on him. It's a different reason than what we hear in the media. And he wanted the people there to take his picture and publicize it and interview him for some reason. He said, "Will you take my picture? Will you interview me? Can you put it out there?" That's interesting, right? Like, why would he say to do that? And bylaw officers came. He spoke to them about the encampment and about how the city is handling the people experiencing homelessness in that particular area. And he was voicing his opinion to them and having a conversation, to which then he left. And one of the people that were at the rally, concerned that he might be on medication just previously being released from the hospital, followed him, making sure that, his driving was okay, that he wasn't swerving or whatever. And once they figured that he was, safely driving, they turned back to Sudbury, and that was where he was at McCharles Lake Road. That's how police know, and everyone knows that's where he turned into. So that's interesting that just those simple details, and there's more, and I just don't know how many I would like to just say from my conversation yesterday without getting it from the actual person who divulged that information to me, because they were concerned as well as, maybe don't say this, maybe don't say that kind of thing and whatever. And I just don't know what all the things are again. I just don't want to go in too far. But this is what I want to say, is that there's more to this story than is being publicized. And I think there's some interesting points here. And we'll be looking more into it and having some eyewitnesses chime in on it on the show. We'll try tomorrow, if that can work. I need to figure out a way to get my phone working, and I need a device in order to get the interview. I need the device, but it's at home. And where I'm at right now, this device would cost extremely high amounts of money to buy. And Amazon, it wouldn't come in fast enough for an Amazon. It's at home, and I work an hour and a half away from home. So, anyways, we'll have to figure that out. We'll have her on, and but yeah, I wouldn't rule out that there's some funny business, a possibility of funny business here. I'm not inciting violence here by saying that. I'm not going out and being a conspiracy theorist by saying that. I'm saying, is it possible? At this point, we don't know, right? And all things are on the table. And he, in particular, could have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He didn't seem to just go along with the group, in town. He had his own way of doing things, and that could have rubbed somebody very high up the wrong way. I'm saying that's what could have happened. Hey, aliens could have abducted him, right? Right? So I'm saying that too. And I'm saying it could be just like everybody mainly could be assuming, is that he just hightailed it out of Dodge and he's just going to try and get away from something for some reason, or the possibility that he's not in his right mind. But at this point, we actually don't know. We know less than we know. So I think it's fine to ask questions. Usually the more questions you ask, it could lead to solutions, right? It's called problem solving. When you go into a job interview, they say, tell us a time when you had a really interesting situation and you had to problem solve. Well, this is one of those cases where we have a missing counselor from our city, and where is he? And there's a lot of questions that need answering, and in order to find him too, right? So you can get helicopters and drones and whatever, but I'm sure just as easily a lot of questions to a lot of people could probably lead to where he is, right? Instead of just mass searching and stuff, you could just ask everyone and anybody anything, and someone will say the thing that will spark the answer of where he is and why he's there, right? So it is what it is. Questions, never underestimate the power of questions. And with that, man, time just flies on this show like you wouldn't believe. So maybe we'll have to take our deep dive interview with Russell Brand into another day, but it is what it is. I don't know. We need to just go live for like 5 hours at some point. Maybe I need to take a week off and just catch up with all the news and events going on around the world, because it's crazy. So here you got a friend shared this particular meme on Facebook the other day, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But why would they put Pierre Poilievre's picture with it? So they put how to spot a liar, and they have Pierre Poilievre's picture there. And it says 1, deliberately vague on details. 2, uses embellished language. 3, exaggerated emotional displays. 4, relies on derogatory labels. 5, overuse of sarcasm or humor. 6, references undefined they. References undefined they. 7, assigns thoughts and motives. 8, talks and changes topics quickly. And 9, presents own opinions as facts. And 10, projects extreme confidence. So I thought, well, that's interesting. You can almost put any politician's picture in there. But out of all the ones that I know, he's the one that would be the least to fit all those descriptions. Like him, leave him, whatever. Don't agree. You're kind of on the fence, or you actually don't care about politics. That doesn't describe Pierre Poilievre as far as I know. And for an example of that, here we have, and I'm not sure if I got rid of it. I don't think I did. Here you have a little sparring going back and forth. And which politician do you figure actually fits that description here? I don't know. But I have to get things back here. There we go. That was easy enough. So yeah, which person fits that?
While the Conservative leader is muzzling his own caucus and putting himself first, we'll keep putting Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This one is just too easy. He walked into it. He had to muzzle a member from Newfoundland who called for an end to his leadership, joining another senator who did the same, because they understand that their constituents are literally starving and unable to heat their homes because the Prime Minister is quadrupling the carbon tax, doubling housing costs, and giving the worst inflation in 40 years. Why won't he listen to, instead of intimidating, his member for Newfoundland and put his leadership up to a review for...
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, over the course of the fall, we've announced projects on housing that are going to create 500,000 new homes across this country over the year. We're working hand in hand with community leaders, with mayors. We're making sure that we're moving forward on the priorities that are facing Canadians. In terms of standing up for his caucus, the leader across the way will not even mention the fact that the person sitting 3 seats to his left dined with a far-right conservative German politician and wants to abolish the United Nations. Is abolishing the United Nations now the official position of the Conservative Party of Canada?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Minister back from his $80,000 vacation, which he got for free. He said, like most Canadians, friends welcomed him for that vacation. He took two, not one, but two private jets paid for by the taxpayer, burning 100 tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. He wants to tax the heat and the food of Canadians. Did he pay the full carbon tax on each of the 100 tons of emissions that he put into the atmosphere as part of his $80,000 vacation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Conservative leader has simply no plan to address climate change in this country, no plan to increase the resilience of our communities in the fight against climate change. Warming climate causes droughts. Droughts damage crops. Damaged crops increase the cost of groceries. And yet, the Conservative Party cannot even agree on whether or not climate change is real. Mr. Speaker, we will achieve our emissions reductions, all the while sending Canadians checks to help with the cost of rising prices. There are real solutions.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, he says that greenhouse gas emissions are driving up grocery prices. He put 100 tons of those emissions in the atmosphere for his personal vacation. This is high tax, high flying, high carbon hypocrisy. Yep. Meanwhile, Canadians in Edmonton were facing minus 50-degree temperatures on which they were paying carbon taxes just to heat their homes and stay alive. Given that he gives himself a free vacation at other people's expense, will he at least allow Canadians to heat their homes without his tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Conservative leader likes to talk about the challenges Canadians are facing on the cost of living, but he refuses to take action and support them. He chose to delay the passage of Bill C-59, which is also hurting his own caucus.
That's right.
Does the member for Battleford's Lloydminster now suddenly oppose maternity leave for adoptive parents? Surely the member for Cumberland Colchester won't back down on his advocacy to remove the GST on therapy and counseling services.
Hello, guys.
Well, that just caught me off guard. That's really, really dumb. Wow. I didn't catch that one in time. So there we go. So if you look at that description that my particular friends who particularly are favorable towards our prime minister, and I just wonder where that comes from. Like, it's almost like a cult kind of thing. Not understanding what that this particular government has done to this country in the last 8 years. Now, whether you believe in politics or not, but look at the damage somebody who's in power did to this country. So you say, well, I don't believe in politicians, I don't believe in politics or whatever. Well, someone in politics changed our country that drastically in 8 years. So if you don't believe in it, I'd rather have some, that's just the way our world works. Like, we have a political system. Like, it is what it is. Unless there's total change and anarchy, which we would all like to have, a total revamp of everything, which may happen to our detriment, actually, before it happens in a good way. We need at least some leadership kind of in the meantime that might put an end to this and put practical principles back in line. So who would you rather have a conversation with in that regard, right? Like, who sounded like that description more to you in that little back and forth? I like people who answer questions myself. When you're asked questions, answer the question. Don't just go on with your talking points and ask another question to the other person. Like, actually answer the question. They should actually be forced in the House of Commons to answer the question. And if you don't, you get penalized or something. And if you get so many negative points against you, you're not even allowed to be there. So, did you answer the question? No? Okay, that's 1 point against you. You get 20 points. And as soon as you have 0 points, you have to take 2 weeks away from Commons, and you're not allowed to participate. And you get other things taken away from you. Maybe your paycheck's taken away during that 2 weeks as well, to force you to actually answer questions, to be accountable to each other. At least there's a reason why there's an opposition. There's a reason why we have a prime minister. There's a reason why we have laws. There's a reason why we have politicians. And it's crumbling. I have to admit that there's very little accountability these days by people from the powers that be. Mainly, people seem to be above the law, in my opinion. But let's just go. Speaking of that, basically here, trying to get it up on my screen. And here we go. Just recently, they deemed the Emergencies Act, the Federal Court of Canada deemed the Emergencies Act to be against Canadians' best interest and basically against the law, correct? So the Globe and Mail had an article, and it says, basically, I'll get this up on the screen here. Globe and Mail says the federal court's decision on Trudeau's misuse of the Emergencies Act sets the record straight. Unlike Justice Rouleau, who had the commission and didn't find any fault, was Justin Trudeau's friend as well. Didn't find any fault with the government, obviously. Justice Mosley rejected the government's claim that if blockades did not meet the Canadian Securities and Intelligence Services definition of the threat of the security of Canada, it could make up its own definition to satisfy the threshold required under the Emergencies Act. That is not what the Act says. As Justice Mosley ruled, the law refers only to the CSIS definition, not one you can just make up on your own, of a threat of use of acts of serious violence against persons or property for the purpose of achieving a political, religious, or ideological objective. The Trudeau government's rush to announce that it will appeal the federal court's decision, which, unlike the Rouleau inquiry's conclusions, carries legal weight. So it's a mystery why they're going to appeal it. There might be some usefulness in actually having the Supreme Court of Canada weigh in on it. However, if only to dispel any doubt, but the odds are not in the government's side, according to this Globe and Mail journalist here. Justice Mosley, who was in the federal court who ruled against the government, who was appointed at federal court by Jean Chrétien, so by a liberal government in 2003, is among Canada's most experienced judges in cases involving national security issues. Had it not been for the move of the CCLA or the CCF to challenge Mr. Trudeau's introduction of the act in court, or the invocation of the act in court, and Justice Mosley's assignment to the case, Canadians might still be under the erroneous impression that their federal government could invoke sweeping powers to suspend their rights at their whim, by defining security threats to suit their political needs, right? So this particular reporter is saying it's probably better that they go to the Supreme Court to get real, to get a real ruling, so Canadians can know for sure that, the government was misusing their power by invoking the Emergencies Act. And I have a particular speaker who has something to say about this. It's shared by the Coalition of Concerned Businesses and Manufacturers, or Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses in Canada. And this particular speaker says it eloquently, speaking to an audience in Canada. He's not from Canada, talking about this particular issue and who was complicit in it, basically. And it's pretty telling about the state of our country here as it relates to what we're talking about. Have a listen.
How Canada has become really interesting. It became interesting in January and February of this year. Why? Because you had protesters in Ottawa. Really interesting. When people come out in large numbers, and you know what the job of reporters is? The job of reporters is to go out and say, why are you on the streets? What brought you here? Why are you here with your kids? Why have you got a bouncy castle in the middle of Ottawa? That's a bit strange. Ask them questions. Just find out the story. But you know what? The government didn't want that in Canada. Your Prime Minister decided in advance that these people were, what did he do? All the modern excommunications. They were Nazis, they were white supremacists, they were anti-Semites, they were probably homophobes, they were misogynists, they were probably transphobes, etc., etc., etc. He did all the things you do in the modern political age if you want to just defenestrate somebody who's awkward to you. And then he brings in the Emergency Powers Act. Now, at such a time, what would the mainstream media do? It would question it. It would question it. The Canadian mainstream media did not. The Canadian mainstream media acted as an amen chorus of the Canadian government. I will give you a couple of examples, but ladies and gentlemen, I could go on for hours with examples of this. You had a CBC host describing the Freedom Convoy as a, quote, feral mob. You had a Toronto Star columnist saying, quote, sorry for the language, it's a homegrown hate farm that was then jet-fueled by an American right-funded rat-fucking operation. Jesus, they can't even write at these papers anymore. CBC said that 2 Indigenous women who were so scared to go outside in Ottawa because of racist violence didn't bother to mention that Indigenous drummers had led the truckers in an O Canada rendition. The National Observer said that the many black and Indigenous Freedom Convoy supporters were in fact duped by the truckers. The Globe and Mail reporter said, my 13-year-old son told me to tell protesters I'm not a Jew out of fear of anti-Semitic violence without mentioning that one of the leaders of the convoy was himself Jewish. Now, why is this so rancid? Utterly, utterly rancid and corrupt. Because in this country, your media, your mainstream media, is funded by the government. A totally corrupted system. In 2018, election year, coincidence, the Canadian media is given $595 million over 5 years. The Toronto Star estimated it was going to be getting $3 million from the government in the first half of the year. It went on and on. So you see, the mainstream, the government in Canada can tell people they can tell the banks to shut down people's bank accounts. Oh yeah. Your government can do that, and if you're happy with that, just think about what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot. The government can do that, but in Canada, they can also tell the media what to do, and the media does the bidding of the Canadian government. That isn't a free society's media.
Yeah, well said by this particular speaker at this particular conference, and very telling about how the media handles certain issues if they're not in line with what the government's narrative wants to be, which basically falls in line with the definition of propaganda, which is just, saying something that's true for the purpose of political gain, and it's not real journalism. And so, as he points out again, it is a fact. That's just why would these journalists say these things? I watched how the mainstream media covered it, and how the mainstream media covers everything. And there needs to be alternate voices. Now, the interview with Russell Brand, if you get a chance to watch it, you could just look it up yourself. Tucker Carlson interviews Russell Brand, talks about these particular things and how he became a victim of the same thing with an alternate voice to mainstream media, called out certain big players in the world, and they weren't happy with it. So they have different means to shut people down, different ways. Everyone's got a mean to shut someone down if they don't like them these days. And there's people that have a lot of power. Then if you don't say things they like, they will shut you down. They'll do everything they can to shut you down. We've saw that in our own government. I mean, what else could you do? You lose your job because they mandate things, and then you try and protest it, and they arrest you. And when you didn't break any laws, or they'll keep you in jail until for 3 years without a trial, as we have 4 people currently in jail who are awaiting a trial. They'll seize your bank account. What else? What else other than killing you? Like, they've done everything else other than kill you. They've killed your life, like your means of feeding yourself and your livelihood, But other than physically kill you so you don't exist anymore, they pretty much done all that, right? So that's where we're at now. So I definitely hope the Supreme Court gets it, and they know that a liberal judge ruled, and so it's like 2/3 liberal judges in our Supreme Court now, only 1/3 conservative. So you would hope that they don't just get a green light, because a federal liberal judge who's an expert in this particular topic ruled, and I hope they uphold that ruling. They get a little bit of justice every once in a while. It feels good, right? So our thoughts and prayers are with Counselor 2, Michael Vagnini at this point. We really appreciate all of you guys being on, and your positive thoughts and prayers, and any information that you have concerning Michael Vagnini's whereabouts here would be much appreciated. You can email me at subrenews@gmail.com or message me on Facebook if you have any information. I know I'll be speaking more with one of our viewers on that as well. She has a lot of information, and it's really telling. Just have to figure out the technology to get her on the show. But much appreciated, everybody. I hope everyone has a wonderful Wednesday, January the 31st. Can you believe it, how time is flying? 2024. We'll be back, same time, same place, God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.